And we are live. Thanks everyone for tuning in today. We have a very special guest tonight. We have the head of customer service leave, Derrick, here tonight. Thank you very much for making time today. We were just chatting a little bit earlier before we went live, but we might as well just do this on stream. Derrick, but before we start, Derrick, could you kindly introduce yourself, please? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you so much for having me here. Hi, everyone. Nice to meet everyone online here. My name is Derrick. Some of my friends, I do have an English name, Dexter, but can definitely call me Derrick over here. Been with customer service and with MEXC for about a year and a half by now. Before that, did tons of other customer service work. In fact, wow, I don't want to reveal my age, but I think it's like
Minus
what
10.
15. Oops, okay, maybe I should just say 5. Yeah, about 15 years in CS by now. So I love. I mean, if I could just share a quick one here. Joining customer service was really by accident. I mean, when I first started in my first job, in fact, that's my first job doing customer service. The reason why I joined customer service in a call center was because I thought that a call center closes at 6. So when they close, right? There's nothing, no work after that. So I thought, okay, I want to be able to have good work-life balance. I wanted to finish at 6. That's how I ended in a call center, and obviously things are not really as it is because we do serve users now 24/7. But still, no regrets. Happy to help any users who have any problem. But anyway, sorry,
It's like
that's
the
just a bit.
users celebrate, and the customer service team's like, what?
Yep,
I
yep.
can't imagine working on a 24/7 schedule, but it is what it is, right?
Yeah. I mean, in the crypto world, quite clearly, I mean, crypto never sleeps, right? That sounds like Citibank, but crypto never sleeps also. So we serve users 24/7, and we are ready to help anyone anytime, clearly, because we know that we can't close at Friday 6 p.m., right? Because if you start trading on Saturday, on Sunday, which does happen, we need help. So there we go. I mean, making sure that we serve our users 24/7.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I'm so glad to hear that because, like, it's so good to know that if, of course, if something ever happens, of course, you don't ever want it to happen, but if it does, you have
Yeah,
someone there, right?
yeah,
And then you
correct,
can see here
correct.
right in front of you who it is, the person who's leading the team, and I can't even imagine leading like a global team with people working all around the clock. That just imagine clocking in, you have like all these messages waiting for you from different time
Yeah,
zones.
yeah, it's true. But trust us, we are working hard. I mean, I personally have a mantra saying that the best call or the best chat is no chat. Obviously, because as a user, you never hope to have any problems. You never hope to need to contact customer service, right? So we are working hard. There's still lots to learn. I know to all the listeners, the viewers here, we are definitely still in the learning stage, but we'll get there. We'll get there. So hope. In the meanwhile, we'll continue to support. We'll continue to help. We'll do whatever we can.
Great to hear that. All right, so I do have a few questions over here on my end from the community, and then we have a few of them that was submitted just online. I just picked out like about last 2 hours, so let's just run them through, see if we can see any of these answers would be able to help some of the people, our community members, as well as new users out there, or people who might be wondering, just in case if I ever run into any issues. It's always good to know ahead of time. All right, so believe some of them might be related to like the rebranding it's out there, but we'll see how far we go. So the first one, here we go. So with the rebrand, so the first question is about the rebrand. What real changes will users actually feel when they interact with MEXC support? So long story, if I sum it up, like has there been any changes on the customer service side? Like what any significant like big different upgrades or improvements have you guys really implemented? Or anything that we'd be able to see even closer down the road in the next few weeks? Anything you can share?
Sure. So I think one of the things that I do notice. I mean, previously I was in different crypto companies before that, and a lot of times, um, crypto customer service or even crypto companies, they're very faceless. You have no idea who you're interacting with. So I think this itself, and I think that we also have recent. No, I think it is a truth that we have recently also announced our new CEO, Volga, who is here to be the face of the company. But beyond that, it's really to be able to put a name, put an identity, so that we want to build trust. So whether it's myself, Volker, even Cecilia, who is our chief strategy officer, we are here to ensure that hey, we are not a black box or anything like that. But we are here to stay. We are here to build trust to with all our users, so that you know if you have any problems, you have someone to reach out to. When you have any issues, you can escalate and so on. So we are here. So that's one. Beyond that, through this rebranding, we have also taken a chance to relook at our internal processes. I think like one of it is our risk control process. We'll kind of talk, probably I'll talk a little bit about that throughout this interview, is because we had a lot of issues around that. We used to be not very transparent. So we have done a lot, especially with Volga on the seat now, and we have made things a lot more transparent to all our users, so that they know, all of you will know like what's really happening. If you ever get into such a block, we can fix it, we can work on it together, and so on. So I think these are some of the real changes that we want to build trust. We want to be more transparent, and we want to be able to identify your needs. So we hoped that you know and you will feel it that we got your back.
Absolutely. You know, I'm just gonna share something really interesting. I find really interesting. Like every time before I message Vuger for like an AMA participation request or something, like he's always traveling. Like he's always willing to go to different events and meet people in person. So when you actually mentioned like, oh, like if you guys really need to like, you know, customer service, you need to escalate an issue. I'm just thinking, man, if I'm going to like a crypto event, I can literally go speak with the CEO of MEXC if I have to really escalate. Not that he's customer service, that I'm saying that you don't have to, but like if you really want to, if you really have a major issue, you actually have that opportunity. He's actually all over around the world. You can say hi to him. He's such a great guy. He's so helpful. And you know what? I really do think that like the company is taking transparency up a whole nother level. It's not something you really see very often, especially when you see like CEOs are so busy, right? But they're still willing to take out the time to really, you know, go to places and you can actually go and meet them and shake their hands. It's just amazing. All right.
That's totally right. I mean, and it's true. There are a lot of CEOs who are not so public fronting. Volga is putting in a lot of effort, a lot of time. Usually new CEOs, they come in, a lot of times they want to establish themselves within the company, but his strategy is he's looking outward first, listening to the users, interacting with users, interacting with people, flying all over just to make sure that there's connection there. And it's true. Crypto, there is still so much of a human element in my opinion. I mean, we could be talking about AI, we could be talking about using technology, but ultimately it is still a human business. Yeah, that's what
still
that's
has
gonna
that
draw
stigma,
us.
right? That's a little of that negative stigma there. Yeah.
Exactly.
It can't be, but you know what? I do really do. And then, Hen, this is why we're here, right? You see our faces.
That's true.
All right, wonderful. I'm going to move on to the next community submitted question here. Okay, I'm just going to read it out for you. How is MEXC using this rebrand as an opportunity to improve response times? I'm guessing in this case, customer response times, quality of help, and overall user experience, kind of like the smoothness of the help. Any particular changes in that, any tweaks that has happened on your team to really make it, or even the last 6 months, right? Like ever since Vuger joined, like wow, things have really improved very for the better.
Yeah, it's true. So any time like I mean, that was a good one, 6 months ago. Now I didn't plan to share this, but I kind of thought that wow, 6 months ago we were really in a very dark situations where we had negative information, we have quite a bit of negativity, but we the company has went through so much revamping. No, now we are really, and with this whole revamp, our focus is making sure that we rebuild trust, we rebuild confidence, we start to be more transparent. We want to be making sure that our users know what's happening with their funds, with their accounts, and things like that. So I think being part of building that trust is being transparent. So I think what I recall, one of the things that we are doing, it's like the proof of reserves. I think that's something that not every company does, but MEXC has put in resources and effort to make sure that that happens, and it's communicated on a regular basis. And I think that that's important, right? We want to know that our funds, our money, it's with somewhere safe. It's not like it's going to disappear and things like that. So the proof of reserves done by a third party, it is conducted by a neutral individual, a neutral third party that gives even, I'm like me, I'm also a human, right? I'm also a regular user, even though I'm a staff, but I also expect and desire that confidence that the company can give to me. So this itself helps a lot. And we want to make sure that these points are being communicated. These are being shared. But beyond that, recently we have also done API matching and things like that. So we are wanting to have more features, being more transparent, being more open. This word keeps coming out from me, but I think that that's really the central focus, that we want to build trust, we want to build confidence, whether it's through our users, through the service we deliver. And last but not least, I think it's a journey. It is a journey that we want to rebuild, that we want to build that trust with all our users. So whether is it through every single direct messages, DMs, on social media, whether is it through the customer service team, every single interaction are opportunities for us to rebuild trust with our users. So that's what we aspire to do. We have trained, we are putting in more training resource hours to ensure that every single member are able to identify, solve the problem with our users. So yeah, so I think long and short, we want to put all this together in a very structured way to help our users and ultimately to be able to restore this piece by piece. Yep. So
Absolutely. I think you were mentioning like the third party is if I remember correctly, it's Hacking, right? Because I remember like visiting their website like a month ago, and I was actually playing around like checking out the specific details of as an employee, MEXC employee. I was looking at like the proof of reserves of my company because I was curious, I want to see like, hey, how is our company do we, as an employee, you want to make sure that the company you're working for is good to go. You're gonna get your paycheck, and
exactly.
I was looking through. And I was like really surprised, like, oh my God, there's a lot more information and some things I just couldn't understand. So I like had to like, ask Grok, ask like ChatGPT to explain it to me. But I learned a lot. And I think that's really gives like a lot of people the opportunity to really better understand how not just exchanges works, but like also like really how safe is it, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, definitely go check it out, guys. It's Hacking. Just go Google it. You'll be able to find all the proof reserves. You'll see the one under MEXC. It's just find it really interesting, and you probably find something that you probably learn something that you didn't know about cryptocurrency exchanges until you actually read one of those proof of reserves. All right, wonderful. I'm going to move on to the next question. This one is also the rebrand. Okay, rebrands can sometimes create uncertainty. That's true, right? Because there's such change, right? So what are you doing on the support side to really reassure users and really build a stronger trust? Is there any particular initiative on your side to really hit that trust? Any like small tweaks or even like major changes in terms of how you guys operate?
Yeah, well, this a tough one initially. So before the entire rebranding started, we did think about it. Like lots of companies are talking about using AI, using technology to kind of take on the first line of challenges and so questions and so on. So they're talking a lot. In fact, out of like 10, no, out of 10, maybe like 8 or 9 of my customer service peers, they are talking about like, hey, how can we use AI to replace, to take on more. So I think in MEXC, we're trying to draw a balance. we want to make sure that's, again, back to what we were sharing earlier. We want to build that relationship, and that relationship with our users is extremely important. So we are taking a very hybrid approach to have AI still come in, yeah, to solve easy inquiries, to automate the simpler inquiries, like certain things like a simple reset of password. You probably wouldn't need to talk to a human being, right? But for the more complex inquiries, you may need trading. You have maybe you're stuck at a certain page, or you may need explanations. By the way, we are happy to explain. If anytime you have trading issues, feel free to jump into our customer service queue. My guys are all ready to help out. But I think my point is, sorry, coming back, is yeah. So we wanted to draw that hybrid approach where we do have AI to come in to kind of take on the simpler inquiries, and then for the more complex inquiries, we will have our team to be able to support all our users so that they have more time. I think the emphasis is we free the team so that they have more time to speak with you in terms of the more complicated issues. And ultimately, it's, to me, I think it's all part of building that trust, all part of building that trust with you, so that we are able to walk you through rather than trying to shake you off like quickly. Like once you're done, we kind of like, okay, that's it, goodbye, have a good day ahead. No, we want to be here for you. We want to anticipate. We want to be able to kind of guess also like what are the future problems we may face. Like sometimes you may say that, oh, I may have problems withdrawing. All right, we may solve that first problem, but okay, what are the possible subsequent problems you may have? So we hope to be able to anticipate those issues and be able to solve them even in advance together with you. Yep. So I think that that's part of being personal, staying connected with our users, and hopefully, again, increase, or kind of puts in more pleasure working and partnering together with MEXC.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, I find it really interesting because like sometimes I prefer speaking with AI when it comes to customer service, and sometimes I prefer speaking with a person. I don't know. I think it's really comes down to my problem. But like when the wait times are long, might as well just go to AI, see if I can resort to myself, right?
True. True.
That's just my personal opinion. But I also understand like how when you actually have a human interaction, it does feel like a kind of higher quality service kind of feeling. You're actually getting like a person's attention instead of like some kind of automatic dial phone response. But then again, AIs these days are a little bit different these days, right? They can actually talk back. So well, it's really interesting how I see that technology really takes place. I haven't really played much with MEXC customer service before because I haven't really had any problems with using our platform. But one of these days, if I do, I'm gonna be like, "Where's the ring Derrick button?"
I hope you never have to come in though, for a real reason. But of course, feel free to not chat with the guys. I think that's perfectly fine. But the reason I say I hope you never have to come in because I hope you will never have a problem.
So you might
Never
have to
have a
do that as
problem.
like a undercover social media host. And be like, let's film this and see how long they take to respond.
Sure, that's
Oh gosh.
great.
Watching too much undercover bosses on YouTube lately. All right, whatever, let's move on to the next Q&A question here. So okay, this is interesting. As MEXC continues to grow globally, how are you scaling customer service while still keeping it personal and effective? So, like, how's the team growing? Are you guys focusing on a particular area, region, any particular time zone that you tend to see a little bit more busy with, or is there like a specific way you guys are thinking about trying to scale, or what's the way to really grow things? Or you have a more effective way to really do things?
Good one, good question. So yeah, we do serve like over 20 over languages and serve over 100 over markets. And it is a challenge to be able to scale effectively. So one of the things that we personally, I mean, MEXC does, is we do hire folks from the local markets. Yeah. The reason why we do so is because I think I'll answer this question in two parts. One of it is I want to talk a little bit, share a little bit about how we want to keep it personal, and then after that, I'll go into the effective part. So on the personal part, I value relationships a lot. So that's the reason why we try our best. In fact, we do very much to hire folks in the local market. I firmly believe that a local speaking with a local, it's a lot more, you are able to get each other's vibe, you're able to connect better, and sometimes it's also easier from a being able to speak the right language, the right lingo with each other. So I think that's one thing that we value a lot, and we'll continue to do so, because I think again that's connecting back to the relationship part, and that's something that AI technology will never be able to do. Um, and hence therefore going with the effective part, I mentioned earlier on that we will have a hybrid of using technology and humans. And so I think coming from the effective portions, it still goes back to we are identifying constantly like what are the simple problems, what are the simple issues. Because as a user, I mean, sometimes as I lead the team, I would think for myself, like if I'm a user, how I want it. I mean, how I love to be served, how I prefer, like what's the best. Um, and and so with that thinking in mind, we are looking into like our different processes as much as possible. So every day we are changing something, we are trying to make a process easier so that ultimately users, when you come in, your problems are quickly solved. And if your problem is complicated, it will go to a human being of your nativity. So I think that this is part of how we try to marry the two points together, whether it's being personal and being trying to be effective here. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta admit, like I gotta agree with you because I remember like sometimes I would have like trouble with like logistics, shipping stuff. Like I'm just getting stuff from like overseas or Amazon, whatever. And like when you have to call in customer support and they speak with this really strong accent in English from whatever language, the first thing that popped in my head was, am I going to really get my problem fixed? Like I'm hearing this really strong accent that's because there's that it's not like a language barrier per se, but it makes you get that impression that the person might not be 100% competent. So when you actually mentioned that you actually get that native language support as best as you guys can, that really rings true to me, because it always makes you wonder like, oh, if they can't speak my language properly, then how they're really good, are they really going to understand my problem?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that's also connecting to making sure that you're able to connect better so that we can solve your problems. And it's quite no, it's statistically proven. Like usually for the non-native speaker to manage, I mean, someone of different from countries, like maybe someone from Singapore serving someone in let's say Japan. Again, nothing against that. The ability to solve the problem reduces because Singaporeans generally don't speak Japanese. So so using a translator tool, a lot of times we realize it doesn't work. So the solve rate is like usually less than 60%. We did that in the past, but once we are able to have a local serving a local, it jumps up to 96%. In fact, 97, if I'm not wrong, from yesterday's data. But it's around there. So the ability to solve that problem increases drastically, and that's the reason why we look into natives serving locals. It does help a lot.
Awesome, wonderful. I'm gonna move on to the last one over here. Okay, this is an interesting one. What are some of the biggest user frustrations you've identified, and how does the new chapter aim to solve these frustrations? Because I think this is a very entertaining question here, because you get to hear the nitty gritty of things, right? The daily
Mm.
difficulties, and what are certain things that you tend to see? Do you see a pattern, every week on end? He's like, oh, it's this common problem. A lot of people tend to, they have a challenge with, and they dial in. Any particular frustrations you really notice, and you're like, in the past, and you finally been able to nail it and really solve it permanently?
Yeah, that's very true. So I think, I mean, as you're sharing this question now, I'm just thinking like the top one of the top one is like being not again, going back to what we were saying earlier, not being transparent, not very transparent in like some of our risk control or some of our rules. Why is our money blocked? So that's something that we have learned through a very painful lesson, and that is something that we have put in a lot of effort to rectify. I mean, to put things into perspective. Like out of maybe 10 users in the past who comes in with a block, like your account is like suddenly blocked, your account is being restricted. So out of 10 users in the past, like maybe 9 or 8 of them will never get to know like what's happening with their accounts. They will have no idea. It's like all they will know is okay, your account is blocked for 60 days, 90 days, and that's it. And all you can do is wait. So that was the past. So I think one of the things that we have changed, we have done is to increase transparency, being able to tell the users. And okay, maybe just a clarification is unless there's enforcement or there's legal requirements that forbids us to say anything. Otherwise, 90% of the time we are able to say like, okay, what caused the block and how can we quickly rectify that block, so that you can actually access your funds again as soon as possible. So that's one major change that happens recent over the last few months. And I think again, while it doesn't sound like a big thing, it sounds like it should be taken for granted. But that's one move that the company has shown and has how do I say, open up to being more transparent and being, again, not a black box to all our users. Beyond that, we had, I recall, we also had problems with like the agents, the team not following up on issues. I think a lot of customer service centers have that. Like you write an email into the call center and the contact center, and subsequently it's like, whew, the email goes into a black hole and nothing comes back ever. So yeah. So we have put in a very strong quality assurance system. I mean, maybe just to share, like making sure that from a QA perspective, 100% of all emails or chats are always replied. You will always get something back. You won't get blank email, but you always get a proper response, follow up, and etc. So yeah, so I think these are, I mean, just these two examples, I could go on and on for next hour or something, but yeah, but that was something that I experienced, that I was like, hey, when I first came in, like, hey, how do we make sure that all our responses are responded? It should be 100%, right? When a user asks something, you should always get a response.
No
The
man
folks
left
tell me,
behind.
yeah. That's my folks tell me, no, we don't really track, boss. We don't really like. I was like, oh, we gotta do something. but again, we are learning, right? We are learning. So I think that's something that's we have grown up of. Yeah.
You know, like I remember like some people like ask me about like like stuff like that back in the days, and like I did some like research on my end, right? You know, and I always found something to be really interesting, like that the company that MEXC has never had a hack before. Now I'm hoping this will never happen to us. And if it does, you know, you will see me live very soon, very fast. And I'm going to be spamming messages to Vuger,
Yeah.
getting him on stream as quick as possible or something. But you know, it never happens to us. And I always wonder, well, how's that possible? Because there are like a few, you know, our competitors, and there's some of them are really big, and they've been hacked. They've all been hacked, but we haven't. And I used to work for another cryptocurrency exchange. Not gonna say which one, but they've been hacked too. And I was there while we were hacked, and it was just a fiasco. So, and when I joined MEXC, I'm like, well, I took a look at the company's history. We've never been hacked. So, like, so I guess you can say that, yeah, like company has taken security like a very high notch, up a high level, to the point where, you know, some customers some users had suffered in the past because of that insane good level of security. I think the positive side of it is the exchange never has been hacked. So it really shows how serious our security team takes things. Because coming from someone else who's worked for a company for exchange that has been hacked, gosh, yes.
True, and trust me, yeah, I mean, Maxi, we really put in tons and tons of efforts to ensure security. Like every day, we get messages from the security team to remind us, like, hey, we need to secure our laptops. We need to make sure that our passwords are locked. So I mean, it's a good bug in the sense that I do get messages reminding me to change my password like every other week. So while it is it's sometimes painful, but it is a good pain. It is good because I think, again, wearing from a user perspective, I think that we appreciate this effort to ensure that security is taken care from ground up, because every member could be a liability. Every staff, myself included, could be a liability if we are not focused, we are not reminded. And sometimes things just happen. I mean, we can get so busy, and so sometimes we may take like cut some corners, but that's wrong. I mean, but how the company puts in effort to make sure that we are reminded. So I think that I wouldn't say that that's the main secret, but for sure, I definitely appreciate. I mean, both as a staff and as a user of MEXC, I appreciate what the company is doing to ensure security. Yeah, it's amazing.
I remember having this like one little notification one time. I think like I might have downloaded some kind of like graphics or like there was something pressed something wrong by accident. I had like 5 people from the security message me like within 5 minutes. They're like, we've notified we've noticed like your computer had a
Yeah.
huge notification on whatever software, and we're just double checking on you. I'm like, who are you guys? It came out of nowhere, messaged me, and I realized like the company takes security really seriously, and
Yeah.
I'm so glad because like they took me through this huge process to really help me clear out my computer and everything. And they were so friendly and nice, but it was so nice. It felt like I had this like army of security staff just standing there, protecting me the whole time. And that's coming from like an internal as an employee, right? So,
Yeah.
but from a user perspective, there are people taking care of you behind the scenes.
Yeah, trust. Yeah, definitely. I mean, from the public or rather from the third party. I mean, as customer service, we also get tons of scammers, from coming in, job scams, and coming into the team and say that, hey, I would like to offer you like a X amount of dollars, to sell stuff, sell your company, or rather sell users info and things like that. So we are able to, through systems, be able to capture them very quickly. So I think broadly speaking, we are wanting to be sure that our users are protected. We'll do whatever we can. We are extremely, I can't emphasize further, we are extremely strict in terms of making sure that security is enforced, like how you've gotten like 5 people connecting with you. So yeah, I can personally, I mean, I'm so confident of things. I mean,
Awesome.
it's amazing. Yeah.
It really is. I really do appreciate our security team. They really take their I love it when they're like all hands on deck and everyone joins the group and they're all checking different things on the background. Anyways, yeah, love it. All right, so let's move on. Let's move on to the community questions here. So the ones I pulled up. So I think found this one was really interesting. This one was by Mr. M. Demon. I'm just going to call it Mr. Endemom here. So he's asking, how fast does MEXC support usually reply to withdrawal or deposit issues, and which channel is the fastest in regards to that kind of problem?
So for MEXC, we do have a few contact channels, chats. We do support via Telegram. We have on X. So all these channels are 24/7. So if you're really asking me like which is the fastest, they are all pretty much comparable. Generally, we are able to so be it via Telegram or X or the usual chat channels. Usually from the start to the end, it's usually 15 minutes or less, depending on how complex the issue. But of course, I do not want to always say that it's always 15 minutes, because sometimes, as we know, if the withdrawal or the deposit is due to an unknown address, or if it's a third party wallet and things like that, so that can get a little more complex. But generally speaking, and also statistically speaking, most of the issues, easily 97% of the time, no, 97% of the time, we're able to resolve inquiries within 15 minutes. Yeah, so that's kind of the average handling time we have, or resolution time that's we have at the moment. Yeah.
I was expecting and you say like an hour or two. Wasn't expecting 15 minutes, but wow, okay. I'm genuinely impressed. I really was expecting a little bit longer. Because you email like customer service, you expect an email come back a few hours later, not like
Yeah.
15 minutes. But but I also understand there's peak hours, there's peak seasons, once something special happens, we probably get more inquiries than normal. So don't kill Derrick if it's a little longer than 15. All right, wonderful. Thank you very much for the question, Mr. Damon. I'm gonna move on to the next one. This one is from Melinda. Okay, I'm sorry, like the text is really small, so if I'm reading that wrong, please don't kill me. All right, so she's asking, since MEXC serves over 170 countries, how does your team manage high quality support across so many different time zones? That's something I like to know. And languages to ensure no trader is left waiting. That's a good one.
Thank you so much. I think that's Melinda. But nonetheless, this is a fantastic question. And I think most crypto companies would have a challenge managing this. So we do serve users 24/7, that's for sure. However, there are certain languages that we may not be like certain languages like English, for example. We definitely have it 24/7. I have sufficient staff to cover 24/7 on that. Certain languages which have lesser, in a sense, a lesser population. So this is when we generally offer two options to the users. One is we could always arrange for follow-up with someone of your nativity. That means, for example, maybe that staff may only be operating in the next day. But if your issue is urgent, we will definitely be able to, in a sense, work with you, solve that problem immediately. It could be through a translation tool. And I think beyond that, let me think. We also may have sometimes backup teams, but nonetheless, I think what I'm really trying to, or rather, what is the SOP, is really trying to make sure that first point is we want to ensure that we have the right native to serve you. Secondly, is if that's, for example, Mandarin speaking, for example, is not online, there's not no one on duty, we will seek your permission to see if we can use a translation tool to be able to serve you. And if you're okay, then we will be able to use the translation tool. If it's not, then of course we'll arrange for follow-up with you. I think true and all is we want to empower the users. We also want to say that, hey, here are different options, and we want to do our best to be able to help you out. So I think broadly, that's one of the things that we keep a lookout for.
Awesome. I really do think that's reasonable, because I think I remember doing this myself. Forgot what it was. I think I went to the bank, another country. I was going to my wife's friend's wedding, and like somewhere, forgot. It was a few years ago. And I had to go to the bank, and I had to get a translation tool, and it's a thing. But the technology is so good these days that and you barely don't really need it. And most of the people, they speak English, so I'm kind of lucky in that regard. But if you don't speak English, then you know what? Don't worry, Google Translate has your back.
I mean,
AI has your back.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we want to make sure, again, right, coming back to what I was sharing earlier, we want to have locals be able to serve locals. And I think that's something that we are working on. In fact, something that I can sneak peek is we are going to be increasing. So for our MEXC users, you may realize that your service level may increase, in a sense, become better. Why? Because our management team has agreed that, hey, let's continue to expand, let's continue to grow the team. And what's very important is we now want to make sure that our minor markets In fact, all markets are well taken care of. So we are going to see a few changes around that. So I shall not say too much, but it's really something to look forward to. Because Volker, he's very, very customer centric, very user focused, and I can't say like I can't even express like how customer I can use obsessed he is. So very, very excited to be on this journey together with him.
Absolutely, man. Me too. I love working with Ruger. He's always best. Big shout out to Ruger. All right, that's about it for the questions over here. We'll see if we can do like this some other time. We'll see, like, because it seems like you guys a lot of you guys have input a lot of questions. We'll see if I can like dedicate some work to like the online questions next time. That being said, thank you very much for making time tonight, Derrick. Do you have any last words to say to the MEXC community or everyone else out there on social media?
Sure. Thanks again for being here again. I do have, in a sense, a Derrick MEXC private account. Of course, if you have any feedback, suggestion, please feel free to reach out to me directly via that Telegram channel. Of course, I do have some of my folks working together alongside with me to respond quickly. I'm also trying my best to keep it 24/7, but feel free to let me know if you have any feedback, any suggestions, any challenges you face. Happy to work it out. And of course, here's the world peace too.
Absolutely.
Again,
I think it's always smart to go to like official channels. Like when it comes to customer service, I always go to the website and try to find like directions there. Because, if you go directly, someone's like, personal X, I'm going to be honest, I don't check my X messages every day. So if you guys message me on my X and I don't respond, don't kill me. Right?
Then a shout out here is, yep. So always make sure that you're talking. Always, so MEXC have a MEXC verify feature. So if anyone comes to you guys and say that I'm from MEXC, always use the MEXC verify feature to make sure that's really someone from MEXC. Yeah. So security tip.
Nice. Nice. I didn't even thought of that. That's such a big thing because, like, once in a while, our, even internal employees, they get like these weird like scam messages from MEXC impersonators, and we're like the MEXC staff, and we're thinking, what is scams these days? So there are impersonators out there. So guys, definitely be careful. But yeah, look for the badge. Anyways, thank you very much, Derrick. For everyone out there, appreciate you guys tuning in for tonight. Definitely stay tuned for more updates and information. We'll see you in the next live stream. Have a good night. Ciao, guys.
Thanks, guys.